Here we are. We might have been okay. Yeah, there it is. Like 6 seconds, 8 seconds.
All right, I'll take it. Nice. That's anything crazy, I
Yeah.
don't think. Welcome back, guys.
All right. Yeah, this is the still formalizing some things. Americanosaur's culture canvas. Covering
Yes,
some
indeedy.
articles. We're here doing your
Wait,
your art news, your ArtNet news. You know, they have a podcast
I
called
can't
The
hear you,
Art.
bro.
Really? Oh no.
Yeah, the audio. It could be my internet being weird.
Oh, well, I hope
I hear
everyone
you.
cares. Okay.
We're good.
Yeah, I was just saying, there's a podcast called what is
What
it
is
called?
going on?
Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you now. Yeah, sorry, bro. My internet is like coming in and out for some weird reason right now.
Yeah, no worries. I was just saying, there is a podcast. There's an ArtNet podcast called The Art Angle.
I did see that. Yeah.
Oh, you saw that? Was it in
Yeah.
one of the articles? Is that why I have this brought up here?
Probably. Maybe. But I think again, some of the articles we share, it'll be yeah, exactly. It's on one of the a few of the articles.
Oh, that's right. Some of the articles are podcasts.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
listened to some of
Exactly.
them.
There'll be like a little kind of brief and then like the pot, whatever. But yeah.
Nice. So I guess we're back again to read some art news.
Absolutely. I know there's a few articles that we shared. So, I mean, personally, I think the Liechtenstein one could be nice. That's like a nice little,
You didn't read the fashion one?
the
You
fashion
want
one
to
too. Yeah, yeah,
Did you read
100%.
it? Yeah, it's like the fashion
Yeah.
one.
No, I
Why
did. You
not?
want All right. The
I
fashion.
don't.
The
I,
Liechtenstein one was stood out for me because again, it was one of the first articles I think, and since we've been putting this on, that it had like silver lining, market stabilization. It kind of like had like a positive tone to it. So I was like, nice, yeah, let's get down there. But yeah, let's jump into the fashion. Fashion meets art, art meets fashion. Milan Fashion Week was going crazy. Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna let you lead.
Oh, here we go. I,
You want to read it? We
I'll
don't have
read.
to read this one.
Yeah,
I
no,
was
I'll,
like,
I'll highlight a few. I mean,
yeah,
what stood out for me? I'll read the title here. Bottega Veneta and Versace deliver art infused debuts at Milan Fashion Week. So my biggest kind of takeaway from the article in general was, now not more than ever, but it seems like fashion designers on some of our other streams we talked about obviously the collabs with art, whether the collaborating on the designs and like the garments themselves by like infusing artist parts from the artist, or if they're like getting really creative with how people are experiencing the designs in fashion. And so one of my takeaways from this, I think, was just some of the epic kind of installations at like the
yes,
actual runways that you're seeing, right?
yeah.
So I don't we'd have to look through the article a bit to like find some of the names of the artists that they're collaborating with, but that was kind of the big takeaway. It was just some of the installations here. Here we go. So Bottega Veneta, specifically A Quiet Revolution, I believe was the name of theirs. And it was again quite a few debuts for some designers for the first time, which was interesting. And Louise Trotter's debut for Bottega Veneta marked the house's 60th anniversary under a suspended installation by Korean designer, excuse me on this name, Kwang Ho Lee, I believe. Black cords cascading like a giant in intrecciato unfurled. Man, it's
Yes, that word intertidal. Did you look it up?
I didn't. That's straight up Daniela.
Italian word.
I believe that's what I thought. I'm like exactly the American in me was like intricado. Then I hear Daniela in my ear like it's two C's a ch. So yeah, I believe it's
Chateau. Yeah.
intrecciato. And
Inchetata
so
is a signature hand-woven leather technique developed by the Italian luxury brand Bottega Veneta.
Bottega.
So that's
Gosh,
like their like style of textile that they developed.
interesting.
Interesting. So yeah, they were using that you know. It's did it say they were using it kind of sparse actually like in the show? Like it's like more like this is our like a major thing that we've, a theme of the show. But then like the rest of the show is very like broad in like the type of materials and things they were using.
I
The
think so. That's kind of what I saw. I did see there was quite a bit of like crossover with the music too. I think for the
Yeah,
specific one, there's like a
Steve
whole
McQueen,
yeah.
the
Exactly. There
director,
you
he picked he like helped with the soundtrack.
go.
It's interesting because I don't really know, as much about the art world. And so, and like, I was like thinking about it from like, you occasionally, obviously these things get like auctioned off and sometimes closed. I think someone, I see people, who is it? Celebrities sometimes auction off entire wardrobes, or things like that. That happens. And, or like, clothing from, again, like the memorabilia. We've talked about like memorabilia and things like that being a big part of the market. Like heritage auctions. Do you know heritage?
That's an auction house, Heritage Auction.
I feel like a lot of their stuff is like they have a lot of clothing because it's a lot of maybe American memorabilia.
Hmm.
I think like coins is something they might be famous for, but like then also, it's like old muskets. And then like, all sorts of clothing from like famous, movies and things. I think they actually sold the Dorothy shoes, the red Dorothy shoes they auctioned
Fine.
off. I think that was Heritage.
Click your heels sometimes.
Yeah,
I
but
just
like fashion has like an interesting place in like the art museum world. And what was interesting when I was reading this is like I was like the aesthetic, like Steve McQueen compared it to the opera. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
at one point,
yeah.
yeah, I read that and I was like, it took me, I had to like think about that because, like I was like, what does he mean by, this is the opera? And I think it's just the theatrics, the pomp and circumstance of it, of when the opera was in its day, and then like this has that vibe. I've only been to like a couple fashion shows, so it's a very foreign world, but
Yeah.
it's a production and it's very cool. Some of the stuff they did, I thought.
I got the quote right here. I wanted to heighten people's emotions to make them more sensitive to the clothes. When I've been to fashion shows, I always think this is the contemporary incarnation of opera, as it would have been experienced in the past. It's not old fashioned, it's not dusty. In fact, it's cutting edge, McQueen said. So, yeah, to your point, just like theatrical experience while people are wearing some fly, interesting garments. So,
Well, I bet you back in the day, like, or I mean, the opera used to be, it was like you would go, you'd bring like your best, you'd wear your best, you'd have your monocular or whatever, like, you're like your monocle. Did you check out this music? Like some of the soundtrack or this like Wild is the Wind,
I
David
didn't hear.
Bowie,
I,
Nina.
I just I only saw the names and that they were like, just what they were kind of like blending, but I didn't hear any of it. It sounds interesting. What is it? They blended what Nina Simone and David Bowie, it looks like on this one.
Honestly, I had to do more research, but I tried to find the song
Yeah.
and I think I found it. And if it's what I think it is a blend of both of them singing. I think it's like AI possibly doing the song and blending both versions together in their voices. Like their voice, it like switches. Like it's not like they do a duet. It's
Weird.
like at some points, I'm like, is this Nina Simone or is this David Bowie? Like the voice is very, I don't know if that's what they were listening to. I tried to find one, but
I'd
it would
be
make sense given the the woven theme,
that is I see now. Okay, that does make sense. When I was reading it, it was hard for me to kind of picture. I'm like, what? How does that even work? So yeah, I would definitely be curious to see how that sounds. I mean, obviously Nina Simone's dope, David Bowie's dope. Like put those forces together. I'm like, that's very intriguing. I'd be curious to see how that came out.
Yeah, if it's the thing that I saw, it's just an interesting, like, Brave New World sort of thing that we have going on with like AI, which I get we might talk about later in that other article. Was there anything else in this article that stood out to you?
I mean, again, the installation thing, the
Oh,
blending, the music. We can touch on, I guess, the other kind of debut that they had, and What's this one?
Was that the Farraguna?
I think this is Versace. Bottega Veneta.
Oh, the Vitale. It's his, that was his first show, maybe?
I think so. Yeah, Vitale, I believe. Yeah, exactly. I think also like his debut, which was actually this is actually kind of wild because I think this is the one where they, you know, it said something about like the housing and how. Okay, here we go. Instead of a conventional runway, guests, only 250 of them, entered through a discreet back door, passing through a sequence of 14 transformed rooms before reaching their seats. Each space resembled the apartment of a bourgeois Italian family, a dining room with silver mid polish, a bedroom with pills on the floor, and an undone bed, underwear on the carpet. The idea was to make it feel like someone had just left the room a moment before you entered, said set designer Andrea
Hair
Farraguna.
on the ground.
It was really about creating a very elegant, sophisticated family environment, bougie, high class Italian interiors, but a bit of a mess, and then preparing this context for the collection to come in and disrupt it and bring in the sex and the lust.
Yeah, that is,
Pretty epic quote.
yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Lots of sex and lust themes.
Well,
They each room I guess was like different, and then when they came in, so you were like waiting in a separate room.
something like that. The whatever the experience and like I don't know, it sounded pretty unique and interesting. If you're going to a fashion show, like going through these different rooms and stuff, I don't know. Again, I'm not super familiar with that world and the shows myself. So, but usually you just see people lined up, on the sides of the runway and everyone just sitting. But like this seemed pretty interesting how they approached it. So shout out to Versace.
And it said one theme was the Warhol Maryland prints.
Mm,
Which are the
right. And then the last one was the Hugo
Oh
Boss.
yeah, well yeah, the dress. I see that now. I didn't even notice. Like there's like it's even in the clothing. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, which one? What were you talking about?
I think like because they talked about the Warhol Maryland prints, and I hadn't noticed like even in like some of the, it's like literally like on the dresses and things like that.
Yeah. I do like the baggy. I do like the dig kind of the baggy suit, oversized suit thing for
Like the 80s.
Yeah, that's
It
cool.
looks like a 80s to
I'm
me.
into
It's
that.
got like an 80s vibe. And even they talk about like the music being sort of like Italian 80s
Yeah,
esque.
I dig it.
Yeah. Would you wear that though?
The oversized suit that this person's wearing in this, or just any of it.
Are we looking at the same suit? Are we looking at
Blue
the
pants, the purple jacket.
blue pants? Yeah, blue pants, purple jacket?
That's fine. I would probably try to rock that. They have, I think these are all
Dope.
female models wearing these ones. They have some male models, I believe, down
Oh,
lower wearing some different things too. Yeah, I could pick it. I there's a few things. Yeah, 100%. Versace's, I'm not mad at it. Hopefully, we can go to one of these shows one of these days.
which one?
Oh, you put
Which
up
one are you putting up?
the All right, here we go. So,
For the
of,
record, this
of
is
the
the other suit.
yeah, yeah.
That's
I think that's cool. Um,
but
of these ones, the middle one is maybe not quite my vibe so much, but either
oh,
ones on the outside, probably the trench vibe on the right, the all gray kind of situation with the coat.
one clothing item. Which one? Because
Oof,
those purple pants and that green fanny pack
the fanny pack is
is
way
kind
too.
of hot. I want to
Yeah,
be honest.
I mean the bags,
Just I don't
all the
have a place for that
accessories,
shirt. Oh
all
yeah, the bag. Yeah, they're right. The bags are dope.
the red bag, the fanny, all the accessories are lit. The black leather pants, bro, is wearing on the left too. I'm not gonna lie, those things are hitting too, man. But shit, holla at me, Versace. Let me get in. Let's get the next show, bro.
All right, let's move on to the next article because oh yeah, art from Roy Lichtenstein estate shatters estimates with $27 million sale. Oh,
Let's go, man. That's positive news in this weird market, you know. Always talking about, how things are not meeting sales, not hitting. So,
Got some technical difficulties.
yeah, sorry, my internet might be cutting in and out a little bit.
Art from Roy Lichtenstein Estate shatters estimates with $27 million sale. September 26th. So this just happened like a week ago.
I think
And
so.
it exceeded the estimate 15 million, which I'm guessing is the high estimate. Got to throw some. You got your low estimate, your high estimate, your hammer. This it was
There you
for
go.
right. This was for a number of different objects, I think, right? So it was
I believe so. It says the latest cache of works comes from the personal holdings of Lichtenstein and his wife Dorothy, who died last July. It encompassed painting, sculpture, drawing, collage, prints, spanning more than 4 decades. Yeah, so a few different
90
mediums.
works. It's a lot of works.
Yeah.
Do you know Liechtenstein's work?
I am more familiar with Liechtenstein. Again, not like, I don't, there's so much history, obviously, as we've spoken about, but like if you gave me a diagram with like artist names and like their artwork on this side, I could draw a line from Liechtenstein to his stuff probably.
So he was an American pop artist who used comic books and advertising to create groundbreaking paintings that brought American pop culture into galleries. Interesting.
Yeah.
Like the classics, the crying girl in the car.
The Nurse, that was the other one. There's like, that's pretty well known, I believe. I think they talk about that later. What was it? I get the name of the sale was Reflections on Pop, right? Am I bugging?
Reflections on Pop.
Yeah. So dubbed because reflected images are a leitmotif of the works in the sale and were in the subject of series Liechtenstein created. Yada, yada. Something that I liked about this, again, I'm reading straight from the article here, but like
Yeah.
the range of, we talked about all the works that they're bringing, however many it was, like, lots of volume of his artwork basically, but the sale saw prices ranging from 3,000 to as high as 3.5 million. And again, I'm like,
Wow. That part was a little confusing. Did you read that close? Because I think it said 3,000 was the estimate, and I think that $3,000 one went for 100,000.
I think you're
So they went for a lot more. I thought the same thing. I was like, oh man, they came in with some really affordable prices for people at the low end market. But he's one of the most popular artists. Like again, I think in one of the previous articles we had looked up, they had like the top 10 artists trending over the past and like how they swapped out, like who swapped out. And Liechtenstein's been in there since, since he's, became a blue chip artist. And so he's just a part of the ecosystem of American pop culture. Like so many people find his work like really enjoyable.
yeah.
Similar to Warhol in a way. Uh,
I mean, they talk about that little in the article a little further down too. What does it say? How he likes to like talk about art with his art, I believe. Yeah, here you go. For example, interior study juxtaposes flowers on a coffee table with an Andy Warhol style image of flowers hanging on a wall, which met its 1 million high estimate. But it
hmm.
talks about how he, Lichtenstein's tendency to make art about art, which I think is always pretty interesting too.
Well, I feel like that's like a tendency of most artists or like once you get really into your like process,
Yeah.
like as a musician, you don't ever make like songs that sort of explore just like what it means to be a songwriter or to like the themes of songs or like the one note song and things like the sort of
100%.
theoretical. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Always you know, playing with it. And yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. And I think like the best artists are oftentimes that's like what they're doing is like picking apart the medium. I mean, if you think about like, I mean, you probably pick any artist. Warhol is, picking apart a medium you know, simply by uh, asking us what's the difference between fine art and pop art or something, and sort of, destroying the line between that. Liechtenstein's clearly doing that as well as, and explicitly talking about it, like he's got references to the infamous Warhol pop artist or something like that. So that's very fascinating. That's always fun when artists are in that space to do that. That's oftentimes a lot of their best work. I did see like this his highest sale, like the record was 95.4 million in 2015. Do you see
I
that
think
data?
so. Yeah, I think that was for the nurse, right? Yeah, at
It wasn't
Christie's.
just the nurse, was it?
Stands at 94, achieved at Christie's, New York in 2015 for Nurse, a close-up painting of the face. I think it's just, wait, am I, sorry. Yeah, I think it's just that one work.
Wow.
Then some
So
30.
that's as big as the entire sale of like what he just that's impressive. I mean, it is a famous painting. Why don't we look that one up?
I had to look it up. Yeah, yeah, you'll recognize it when you see it.
Oh yeah, I know the nurse.
Yeah, it's like you knew the nurse. I knew like the nurse before I knew like Liechtenstein. No, it just
Well, a lot of times the style or like the genre way before you know the artist because especially like if the artist is, before your time. He's iconic, you know, the big blue eyes, the yellow hairs, and like the blonde hair and
yeah,
comic book style.
it's very recognizable. Yeah, I mean, that was again, it just this one kind of stood out because in the midst of a whole lot of articles that aren't quite always as positive, this does have like a positive kind of trend with, it beating its estimate at auction, which could potentially signal some type of stabilization in the market. I think I also saw somewhere, I think we touched on it in a previous stream, but like auction sales in general are still down, I believe, but like not as down as they were this time last year. Like if they're like 6% down this year, they were like 8 to 10% down last year or something, I believe. Which also could potentially be well if we touch on the art night one as well, the whole like the 50-page one, basically they talk a little bit about it in there as well
Oh no,
about
we're not getting to that.
not
We
getting
don't
that
need to
off of
get
it.
to that one.
Okay,
But
fair.
I think in one of these, then we can just go right to that. I think in the which country's art market came out on top in the first half. I mean, we can just read this one because this one's very short. Did you read that one?
The which countries like art market, which
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it talks to pretty much like what you're saying about like a decrease in maybe like 8% sales, but like, or no, actually the US sales increased by 8% maybe, but there was an overall decrease in the market for the US. So we can read it because it's actually pretty interesting in from the market standpoint. Fine art auction sales in the US generated 2.2 billion in the first half of 2025, down just 1% from the equivalent period in 2024. The decline is less steep than the 16.5% drop experienced globally. Although the half year total is still the third lowest in the past decade. So it's like, you know, it's always sunny, but it's, a little rough out there. In the second place, China saw sales fall by 26% from the same period last year to just 666.1 million. The second lowest total in a decade, including the pandemic plagued year of 2020. Mainland China's economic woes continued to exacerbate by an ongoing real estate crisis and a renewed trade war with the U.S. following the inauguration of the president in January. Notably, Several major Chinese auction houses have decided not to post their results this year. The UK came in third place with 630.4 million in total sales, a 24.5%. These drops are really big. Basically, the US has done okay, right? Less, just under 1%, right?
Sorry, man, it's kind of jacking up again.
So basically, everyone lost because it says the UK, China 26% drop, the UK 24.5% drop. The average was 16, I believe. France was the only one that rose by 4.7%. So,
Hmm.
so France is seeing some good news. I couldn't tell you why.
Sotheby's opened a new Paris sale room last fall as the city's commercial profile continued to rise. That might have something to do with it.
Yeah, that might have something to do with
Might have something to do
it.
with it.
Exactly.
That's nice. Nice. That is I didn't actually read that one, so that was a good little breakdown.
Well, it kind of shows you that, I mean, the US market is massive, by the way. It it's not even comparable how much people are spending money on art in this country, which is really, that could be telling, you know what I mean? In a lot of ways, could be seen as a good sign. It could be seen as like signal of like our great wealth divide. Uh, I don't know. But yeah, I didn't realize that our market was so much larger than like the next biggest markets.
Neither did
Um, more than double or basically, you know what I mean? So,
I didn't realize that either. But I mean, it's a ton of artwork and a ton of artists here.
well, I don't know what part, it would be interesting to know like how that is aggregated in terms of like, because I'm thinking, oh, that's just sales. But like not all the artists who are selling in America are American artists, right? A lot
Right.
of the art that gets sold in America comes from other countries or is made by artists from other countries, potentially even selling to people outside of our country. And, so that sale is coming by way of the US and is probably being, taxed accordingly. But it's interesting. I think the US like clearly is an economic engine for art.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say. What else?
How to buy street art.
I like that
Did
one.
you
It's a
know it?
good. Yeah, yeah.
There's also the boutique art fairs take off.
We can touch on both those. We got some time.
Yeah, this one's pretty short too. Uh,
Let's do the street art one first. That one was actually really intriguing, I thought, because I don't know. I just learned a lot about street art in this in this article.
well, tell us what you learned.
All righty, Lan.
Spawn again. He's great.
Nah, yeah, exactly. Slot 100%. Yeah, I was like, oh shit, let's go. Well, I mean, this article again, it just talks about how to buy street art. I think when I think of street art, the first thing that comes to mind is like graffiti, which is also an awesome art form, but it doesn't get the same, doesn't carry the same gravity or weight as fine art, if you will. Maybe not as respected, if
Well, it
depending
didn't
on who
used
you're
to.
talking to. But what's up?
I was just sorry to interrupt. It didn't kind of used to. I think like the a part of like how this article is talking about street art's evolution
Exactly.
is what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll just read the little first part. Street art has come a long way since its origins as spray painted graffiti on alley walls. Once carried the stigma of vandalism and a spirit of rebellion is now recognized as a vital part of contemporary art and culture. Murals, stencils, paste ups, and temporary installations still line city blocks worldwide, but today they've also become fixtures of museums, highlights of gallery programs, and regulars on the auction block. Someone like Banksy, I didn't really equate to like a street artist, even though that's
Really
like exactly it just did. Yeah, I mean, when I think of
interesting.
it's literally street art. Like it's
Yeah, he's like the most famous street artist in the
bro,
world.
I'm saying it's crazy. It just didn't equate for whatever reason. Because again,
Wait, so what did you? What, okay, sorry to keep cutting you off. That's
yeah,
interesting.
no. Again, trust me, I'm like having the same like, what were you thinking, Drew? How did you not think that he was a street art? I
Yeah, then
think
what is he then to you? What was he?
I just thought of it as like contemporary art, because again, I'm seeing, I don't necessarily, I didn't think of art as
Okay.
selling at auctions and galleries and things. Again, I just always kind of associated it with like, as it talks about in the article, something living, out for just for the people, whatnot. And I don't know. Obviously, Banksy's comes with like, heftier price tags and things of that nature and everything around him and what he stands for. But I don't know. You see these things selling at auction, and it just kind of completely like just separated it from that street art, kind of connotation. Maybe carries a connotation.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that's what they're really getting at is that like when they're talking about how to buy or like they're almost talking about how to price it, like how to feel about how to respect it. And they like, a big part of that is it's ephemeral, it's like limited access, ephemeral sort of fleeting nature to some of it. But like also these artists like any other, like many other artists, work across mediums. So it's like when you're thinking about collecting street art, like you might not get to buy the brick wall with the spray paint. Also, that might not always be there. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Those are two things. But you might get to buy the print, you know what I mean? Which might run on editions, which, and also these artists, some of these artists make other things.
exactly.
Banksy's great again, like Liechtenstein, like we were talking about experimenting with the medium, you know what I mean? Being a part of like how artists sort of find like new ways of exploring their process or the art. He's
Agree.
interesting. Do you remember like the shredded painting one?
I remember you talking about like that method of like painting that with an
No,
artist.
no, the shredded painting that Banksy did.
Oh shit, the one that banks like where it just lit. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
like half shredded.
Yeah,
That like to me sort of, it plays on because he's a graffiti artist, so he's like someone who knows that these things are impermanent. So
mhm,
then like being that sort of artist, making something very permanent to sell at auction and then putting on display for people to see like the potential impermanence of this piece. Like it could be destroyed on the spot. You know what I mean? That's a fun way to play with like that sort of creative, you know,
I think
world.
so. I think that's why he is as respected as he is. Right? I just, I don't know. Everybody loves Banksy, I think.
The
But
political messages, it's like very anti-war, uh, you know, things. I think he makes a lot of sense to me. Like, I think, again, like art sometimes comes down to like how it makes you feel. And like when it makes a bunch of people feel a certain way, like it could be off-putting or it could be, it brings you empathy for something like saddening or something. But like so some artists like or you see a piece, some artworks I should say, like work on you like almost instinctually. And so
yeah,
I find that with like his pieces, and maybe that's a part of why he's popular, but a lot of that stuff you see, it's very simple, like girl with a red balloon or something, like is
exactly.
the thing, but it's so in your head, you just understand something about it. And a lot of his stuff is like that to me.
Agreed.
He also has that process, very interesting, he's also someone like Catalan. His like scavenger hunt has already started.
Yeah, yeah. Did you find any?
No, I didn't find anything. Banksy is notorious for selling, street works all the
Sure.
time. This is
Yeah,
something
100%.
he has
We walk.
regularly done.
I walk at least when I was commuting before I hurt my leg. At least once a week, once every other week, I'm walking past some type of like Banksy type of art being sold, in the subway or something somewhere, and you're like, it's like 1% chance it's real, but it might be worth it. I think maybe a few years back, someone bought one in like Central Park. I oh shit, did I freeze again?
Yeah, you froze, but it's all right. Technical difficulties.
I think I froze again. I was just saying that I think a few years ago, somebody bought one in like Central Park or one of the parks, and it ended up being real, and I got it for the low low. But ultimately, though, I think this article, I appreciate kind of the sentiment and the energy around like protecting street art, protecting street artists. There's a quote here: "Street art by its nature is rooted in the public realm, accessible and often site specific," said Finn Brewster Doherty, founder of London's Camden Open Air Gallery. In a gallery or sales context, we're not trying to remove that essence, but to present works that the artist has consciously created for collection, studio pieces, editions, or fragments that have entered the market legitimately. To your point, always, you talk about provenance a lot of times, and like, you know,
Oh yeah, they talk about that.
yeah, exactly. Just like, if you are about to purchase some, street art or something, it talks about you just learning about the artist, just like a lot of other things, music or film, you kind of fall in love with the stories of the people making these things, so you kind of want to buy into it in that capacity. Um, yeah, also I like the idea of what do they talk about? Like again, to confirm providence, like a signature from the artist or something signed, or even just photos of them making the artwork too, just to like show that this is real and legitimate. But yeah, good art.
Provenance.
Provenance. Oh shit.
Well, that's what's interesting. What?
Is it provenance?
Providence. Providence. That's a place. It's a good place. I've
I think
been
it's
there.
provenance. I just completely missed on that. Provenance is how it's
Oh,
pronounced.
Providence. I mean, yeah, Provenance, Providence. I don't know how to pronounce it. I just know it's not Providence.
I didn't say Providence.
Oh,
There was no D in there. So I was just like,
oh.
man, come on.
Sorry.
Okay,
Okay, I got you.
that's fine.
We're learning here. Yeah, I think it's interesting because I used to know someone who did like the videography for people doing like street murals to document it. This article was a little confusing to me because I wasn't sure. They were sort of like talking about two things at once, like simultaneously in terms of like the artwork pieces that are like you might see in a public space versus like the artwork you would buy in a gallery. And sometimes it's a little confusing, like how they were discussing like each one in terms of like, because like they were telling you, you're probably not going to be able to buy the brick wall with the graffiti. So like you're never going to need the provenance for that. Or you know what I mean? Like, and I think like anytime like an artist who does this, anytime there may be like working with a gallery, provenance is gonna be, sorted out to them. And they kind of talk about like that, like you got to have some proof from the artist, either the artist's studio or the gallery they're working with.
Legal and ethical ownership, key component of respecting street art if you are participating.
Which is interesting also because I read that and I was like, at the same time, street art is vandalism frequently, not respecting the property rights potentially of someone. So it's an interesting tension there.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah, I mean, sometimes street art is frequently it's commissioned, and like there's whole businesses around, painted murals.
yeah. I do. Again, we live in New York. I'm a big fan of the murals here. Yeah, yeah, murals all day. It's always kind of just amazing how those come together. It's just that's really incredible, really impressive. I mean, you're just doing it outside. Think about that with the elements too. These things, it's impressive. It's really cool.
Well, I mean, Bushwick, has some of the best like graffiti.
They do museums, don't or not museums, tours,
Wait,
graffiti tours, right?
yeah, I went on a graffiti tour once.
What was it? In Bushwick?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
And
fire.
I went on one a long time ago, but also recently, like maybe a year ago, when Machiko's friends from Japan came, I think she took them on a graffiti tour. They're still doing it.
It's
Yeah.
fire.
It's interesting. Like, there's so many artists, and the artists come from all over. That's what I thought was fascinating is like, I don't know. For instance, I think Venezuela is like a big maybe graffiti, and I remember there's some artists from Venezuela like coming all the way from another country to like do this beautiful mural on a wall. And I never know. Like I remember, I don't even know if that one was commissioned. Like, so it's like that thing could be disappear and be painted over the next day potentially.
This is true. Do you remember 5 points, bro?
5 points?
Yeah. Like the giant graffiti building, I'm pretty sure. I was just looking it up because I was like, what was it? 7 points? I think they took it down or something in my bucket. The Institute of Higher Burning and referred to, sorry, side quest. Instead, East Coast,
You
five
talking
points.
about Colossal?
I'm just trying to figure out what happened to 5 points.
Oh, you're talking about that like
With a Z.
is 5 points where we saw Lauren Hill? They had like a venue?
I just remember it being like an epic giant building just full of graffiti, and you could you could see it from the subway. You could see, and I remember there being like a giant, like say 5 points, and obviously I'm like wasting time now trying
You're not talking about
trying to look
Colossal,
things.
right? Colossal Media?
I don't know if I know Colossal Media. What is that?
Colossal is like that building. I think they paint the murals. They paint a lot of like the commercial real estate murals.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, you've seen this building. Um, this one?
Oh shit, yes. Yes. Oh, Colossal did this?
This is their office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but they do like all those. They do a bunch of like commercial murals all over the city.
Oh, this is dope.
Yeah, I feel like I've talked to artists who've applied there or worked there.
That's fire. Yeah, nah, shout out to Colossal, man. Keep the buildings interesting and pretty. What else, man? You want to keep diving in
You
on
got
the
this AI one. I
ah,
don't
I didn't read the AI one yet, bro.
Okay. Let's save that for next time then. That one's interesting. It's like about AI and buying art and using AI to buy art.
Yeah, I am actually curious. I want to see what it says it's very in line with obviously everything going on with AI right now. But
Yeah, let's save it for next time. It's kind of a review. It like is like a review of like how they are noticing people use it. And sometimes it's like obviously in some ways it's very useful, some ways it's not. We've had at this point everyone's been exposed to that stuff. So it's like we kind of know what it's useful at and what it's like not so great at. Although
can it
it's
help
getting,
you buy street art?
what's up?
Can it help you buy street art?
I don't, yes, it can. I mean, you want me to tell you what the article says?
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no
of
worries.
course
We'll
it
save it for
can
next. We'll save.
help
We'll
you
save
buy
it.
it, but
We'll save
you
it.
might want to check, you know, and do your own additionals, get some further sources. Additional.
You
All right, that's cool. We can call it a day. This short podcast.
want to talk
Seven,
about the
7 to
boutique
4:20. What's that?
boutique fairs real quick? You want to touch on those?
Oh, you want to touch on the
I mean,
boutique fairs?
that
Okay.
one was really short too. And it also kind of has like some parallels with the ArtNet one, which we're like slowly kind of introducing because the ArtNet one is full. That
Yeah, that's a good art. It's a good
yeah, full
essay.
on report. Um,
New wave of dealers run art fairs and is challenging a model that has long burdened small and mid-sized galleries with high costs and thin margins. I do like it. It's like the rebellion.
type shit. Yeah.
Like they thought they were pruning, but those leaves were actually seeds, maybe. And
I like that.
yeah, it's like another way forward. Did we look up like the average cost of like, because I think these to get even into the fairs is like 100,000 to some of these fairs. It's like
It's
$10,000 is like on the low end. So it's like,
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, on the real quick to touch on the ArtNet report, they interview the person who was Olivia Babin, I believe, Clearing Gallery, started in Bushwick.
mhm.
And again, obviously, I think it started in Bushwick like 2011 or so. It grew, was big. They got a New York branch, they got an LA branch, but they interview the owner Olivia Babin, who I guess they opted out of Basel, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah, they opted out of Basel, Swiss Basel, and like rented just an apartment, like a little house essentially to like fill out and do exhibitions and installs in there. And it does say, what is it? His reasoning was straightforward. Rather than pay 100,000 for a tiny booth on the periphery at Art Basel, Clearing would spend less and get more. The stately home, an 11-minute walk from the fair, had 10 times more space for art, plus accommodations for staff and plenty of room to entertain clients. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you. I don't think I read that part of the article. I don't know if I read the whole article,
No, no
but
worries. This,
yeah,
this
that's
is the art.
interesting.
That's the ArtNet report. So, I mean, it does go on to say that, like,
Oh,
unfortunately, his plan didn't work. He's basically like, we sold a lot. It was great engagement. It was awesome. We're glad we made like the attempt, but like the hole was a little too deep, But it was like a positive experience. It sounds like. So,
I just think like, yeah, there's already so much going on with like the overhead for these galleries. Like we said, like they're 50% margins disappears really quick when it costs like hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the artist in front of the people who are going to pay the money to buy it. And so that it starts to disappear really quick, the real estate and everything. So like these sort of pop-up art fairs organized by smaller galleries seems like a smart strategy for like the mid-size, because they're the ones who have been getting, hurt the most by the downturn. Like
yeah.
all the news we keep reporting on is like, just a slaughter in the mid-size, small size galleries, while the big guys are like sort of still running away with it. Um, so this is interesting, because this is like much more affordable and it will
Thanks.
start to democratize it a little bit.
I'm hoping I'm here for the democratization. I'm here for the creativity around it again. Like that's kind of the whole. So I'm like, yo, we're artists. We work. It's a creative industry. We got to get real creative about how we're gonna move forward. So yeah, I'm here for all of it. I think it's pretty cool. And again, hopefully it introduces new voices, and hopefully again brings new like fresh energy, new buyers. You know what I'm saying? Like low, of all different price points. So I'm interested.
Yeah, I'm about to get one of these salon pieces, I'm gonna be honest.
Les, bro, I'm trying to get a salon too. What's up?
Maybe first in the collection.
Yeah, I'm a fan now. Sure.
It's also a good price point for
Hey,
entry.
yeah, I'm not mad at that. But all right, man, we can want to park the bus there.
Yeah, we can park it there for now. Yeah, that was a good episode. You got any news you want to share?
I'm walking now. My Achilles is healing. I can slowly move around. That's pretty good news as far as I'm concerned. Aside from that, working on a lot of music that we're hoping to release in the near future. Start teasing that out. Um, that's kind of it that's coming to mind right now. How about you, bro?
Just chilling, just working, learning, reading some books about. I'm reading this book about the shark. Didn't we talk about this?
We didn't talk about this. What shark? The shark?
Hearst, the Damien Hirst shark.
Ooh, nah, I'm not. Talk to me.
There's just like a cheap book on it. I use this app called Everand.
Hmm.
So every 3 days or every month, they give me like some tokens to unlock a book. So I have this book, The $12 Million Stuffed Shark, and it's about the Damien Hirst shark. You
Interesting.
remember that shark that you put in like the big vitrine? It's like the
Oh,
presence of danger or something. The illusion of
oh,
danger.
word. Nah, bro. I don't think I've ever seen this before, actually. This is kind of
You've
dope.
never seen the shark?
It's in the
Oh,
shark, right?
you're familiar with Hearst, right?
I am familiar with Hearst.
Are you familiar with Coons?
I am familiar with Coons.
Because we got to cover these artists at some point. They are very fascinating. They're like almost like manufacturers, these guys.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the shark thing is pretty wavy. Put me on. Word. I mean, it's
Yeah,
a book, bro. You gotta share some of the, some of your insight from that on one of these.
I just started it, so I don't have any insights.
Oh, tell us now. Tell us something you learned now.
Tell, tell us something you learned. Nah, it'll probably take me a while to finish it, but this is what I was working on. That's the news I got. Working on some writing materials for the,
Oh,
you know, well,
oh,
we gotta have Jamil.
come on. Narrative writing materials or
Well, we gotta
oh,
have we gotta have Jamil. Okay, you gotta cover. Well, no, actually, we need to get Jamil just on the podcast just to talk or interview.
Jamil not gonna want to. Jamil wants to be a fly on the wall. Maybe we could get him
No,
if we.
we're gonna get him to sit down for a sit down interview.
Oh, say less. Yeah, yeah. I think we can make that happen. I think so.
Yeah. All right.
All right, man.
All right.
Yeah.
Until next time.
Till next time, next
Taking us
Monday
off live.
or Thursday potentially. No catchphrase, no sign off today.
Okay, what's the sign off?
Yes. What's the sign off today? Let's see. In conclusion, support your local artists, tip your barista, and never trust a man who says NFTs are making a comeback. You stay dramatic, darling.
NFTs can't make a comeback if they've never left. They talk about NFTs related to street art in that article.
This is true. Nah,
Like
NFT
one of the ways they're trying to like integrate.
is still around. All right, last
I
one.
understand. No,
I'll
that
sign off.
joke kind of makes sense. Is that the only one?
Last one. This is we'll sign off with this one. That's all from us, unless, of course, Banksy reveals himself mid podcast, in which case we'll be back immediately. Until then, you stay avant garde, America. I should have ended it on the other one. All right, I'm done, bro. I'm done. I'm
You
done.
can like and subscribe and follow us at Culture Canvas Podcast at gmail.com and email us and all that good stuff.
Follow and share. Appreciate
All right.
y'all.
End live stream.
Nice. Thanks for letting me